Hello and welcome to another episode of P3M with Kailash Upadhyay, the podcast where we dive deep into the world of project, program, and portfolio management. In today's episode, we will be discussing how business analysis drives program outcome. Business analysis play a pivotal role in ensuring the success of a program by aligning it with the strategic goal of the organization. Whether you are a program manager or you are a business analyst or playing any organizational leadership role, understanding the synergy between business analysis and program management can significantly improve the outcome of your program initiative. And to explore this topic, we have a very special guest joining us today, and my guest name is Rami Kaibni. Rami is a distinguished program management expert with extensive experience in business analysis and strategy execution. In last 21 years, more than 2 decades of his professional experience into P3M domain, the project, program, and portfolio management domain, Rami have significantly contributed to many organizational success through his business analysis competencies and so on. Of course, Rami has, IIBA, CBAP certified business analysis professional, PMI, professional in business analysis, PMI, PBA, and lot of other PMI certification, including PMP, PGMP, PFMP. So, Rami, first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Kailash. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you, Rami. See, business analysis skills are becoming indispensable for effective program management. And especially, Rami, when it comes to aligning the program outcome with organization strategy, if you do not analyze, you compromise. So, I want to tell you, let's kick off this meeting, Rami. And I want to ask you, from your perspective, why do you think business analysis skills are crucial for program manager, Rami?
Business analysis skills are very important for everybody these days more than ever because, as you said, Kailash, you were spot on when you said to align the strategic objectives with the outcome.
Yes.
The aligning, having the right requirements and the right traceability, also the analysis, the right solution, and delivering that solution to your client. Delivering what the client expects you to deliver requires business analysis skills. While you might not be a business analyst by profession, manager, I think every senior position should have these business analysis skills built in him. Because sometimes we elicit requirements, but we deliver something different to our clients. So we need to ensure that we do deliver value and the value expected by our clients.
Yeah. You rightly said, business analysis is, in every role. In fact, business analysis more than a designation, it's a capability which, whether you are initiating a project, whether you're initiating a program, or whether you're initiating a portfolio, every initiative or every manager, project, program, portfolio manager need business analysis skills. And when it comes to program and portfolio management, I think so we can understand that at project level, tactical skills, the way of working may be more agile, maybe more Kanban, DevOps. These tactical skills may be more relevant at project. But when it comes to program and portfolio management, I agree with you, Rami, that business analysis is the most important competency. Of course, we need risk management skills, we need change management skills, we need quality management skills, and scheduling skills. But I think so from the program lifecycle, if we take from the program formulation stage, when we develop the business case, I think so to develop the business case which aligns the program to the organizational strategic outcome, I think so the business analysis skills is the first skills that the program manager needs to apply during the program formulation phase. Am I correct to say that, Rami?
In a certain way, yes, you are correct. Because, when you do business analysis, you understand the requirements.
Yeah.
Elicitation of requirements is not an easy task. It's the most important task. Like, I want to compare it to data analytics. So if you want to do an AI project, the most important thing is to make sure your data is quality data. If your data is not quality data, then your AI outcome will be not quality. So like they say, garbage in, garbage out.
Absolutely.
So it's important skills in business analysis, again, for people who are senior. It starts from the portfolio level. From the portfolio, cascading down to the program, cascading down to the project managers. The scope of business analysis has increased and widely during the past period. And I think it's going to gain more traction soon. While maybe not in the same exact picture or or a scope, but it will be there in one way or another.
Absolutely. And you rightly said elicitation and collaboration, which is one of the knowledge area. I think so. We have 6 knowledge area in the BA BOG guide, the business analysis body of knowledge published by the International Institute for Business Analysis. And it exactly says the same thing, Rami, what it comes from your experience. It says the same way that elicitation and collaboration have to be performed throughout the program lifecycle. This business analysis where the elicitation and collaboration is one of the knowledge area that play really, really important roles. And Rami, I also want to ask you what I also think that, during the program life cycle, even the formulation phase, when we developing the business case preparation, it is for even prioritizing the program within the portfolio, so that choosing the right program between the portfolio at the portfolio level, also the business analysis role is very, very critical, because ultimately it is the portfolio where the investment into the programs and aligning the program outcome with the organizational strategic goals and objectives very important. Do you agree with me that at the portfolio level, when we are selecting the program initiative and when we are prioritizing the program initiative, this business analysis play a very important role in the program selection and aligning the program to the organization strategic goals and objective, Rami?
100%. For one simple reason, I want to make sure we're clear so we don't confuse the community. So you and I are discussing how business analysis is important throughout all the phases of from portfolio to program to project management.
Yeah.
So first, business analysis starts first to identify portfolios, then identify programs, and then you do gap analysis. You see where your most important programs that would benefit your organization based on the metrics you identified during your portfolio phase. And then just to make sure all these phases, like IIBA identify 6 phases for business analysis, all these 6 phases are repeatable. So you can be in phase 5, but go back to phase 1, because we live in a rapidly evolving world. So I want to emphasize that sometimes you are working in a program and you have some projects under this program, but at some point the market situation changes, right? The expectations change, the needs change. So you need to go back and elicit new requirements to make sure if the project still makes sense to you, or you need to change it or to eliminate it. And this cascades upwards from program to portfolio, then downwards, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. You rightly said upward and downward hierarchy, where program is a component of a portfolio and where project can be a component of a program as well as of a portfolio. And this business analysis scale down in every initiative of the organization. I think so. This is a great starting discussion, Rami, in our first section. But let's move on to our next segment of this podcast, Rami, where we will be mapping the business analysis knowledge area to the program life cycle. As we know, Rami, the BA BOG guide, the business analysis body of knowledge, it outlines the 6 knowledge area. The 6 knowledge areas are business analysis, planning and monitoring, elicitation and collaboration, requirement lifecycle management, strategy analysis, solution evaluation, and the requirement analysis and design definition. My question is how these 6 knowledge area aligns with the phases of program lifecycle.
If you look at the bigger scheme of things, you might not notice alignment. But if you look at the small pieces, like I said earlier, you will see alignment, because you are doing program management, you are monitoring your projects, you are making sure your projects still make sense. Right? This is all involves planning, requirements elicitation, solution evaluation, requires traceability to trace your outcomes to your requirements to your strategic objectives, right? So you're technically doing all of this. Now, while the program is ongoing, you might not do these in sequence, but for different components of the program, you will be doing this in certain one way or another.
You rightly said business analysis is not performed just in any single phase of the program lifecycle, because the strategic alignment initiative are ongoing initiative in the program lifecycle. And to ensure the program is strategically aligned throughout the life cycle, I think so business analysis is very, very important for performing this strategic alignment analysis. That's absolutely a great point which you have made. But Rami, here I just want to tell you from my own experience, and I want you to validate my own understanding. See, when we are in the program, the early phase of the program, which the standard for program management defines as formulation phase, during this especially, I feel the first knowledge area. So in the BA BOG guide, we have strategy analysis. And I think so in the formulation phase, the strategy analysis will help us to invest into the right program. And then as we go progressively elaborate the program, when we go after performing the strategy analysis, we develop the business case, and then we basis the business case, our program formally get authorized. And when we come to the program planning, there we will do mostly the business analysis planning. Business analysis planning is very important. This is the another knowledge area in the BA Bob guide, business analysis planning and monitoring. I think so this knowledge area is more directly aligned to the program planning, because some of the business analysis planning and monitoring processes where we have to plan the stakeholder engagement, where we have to plan the governance, these are the processes have been mentioned in the BA Bob guide. I think so during the program planning also, we say that we have to develop the governance structure, we have to develop the engagement plan, governance plan, and even the value delivery planning. What I want you to just correct me if I'm wrong, Rami. So strategy analysis starts during the formulation phase, then the business analysis planning happens during the program planning. And as we further go into the program delivery, probably we will do more like, requirement lifecycle management, where we will trace the requirement, where we will prioritize the requirement, where we will more analyze of the requirement changes. And then finally, during the transition and the closure, that time we will do solution evaluation, which is another knowledge area. So is this alignment goes really well, Rami, what I'm trying to say here?
It is aligned, but you need to look at it from a small lens. So if you look at it from far, you don't see this alignment. But for example, let me give you an example. For example, the benefits management plan. It's all about requirements. It's all about tracing the benefits, the outcomes to the strategy, right? This technically, you are technically doing traceability analysis and tracing back all your outcomes and progress towards your strategic objectives. Right?
Yeah.
So you are doing business analysis during program management. Everything is aligned, like you said. So I can describe everything. It's all one ecosystem. So one thing affects the other.
No, absolutely. One, it's a complete ecosystem where you cannot just think in silos, where you need to see how different processes or how different knowledge area can all support aligning the program with the organizational the strategic goals and objective. We can continue this discussion, Rami, here further, and we can talk about in the next segment some common challenges, Rami. In your experience, what are the common challenges arise when business analysis practices are missing from the program management? Consider the program manager is not doing the business analysis role, completely. Then what could be the challenges he may face in benefit realization through the program management initiative, Rami?
The program manager might not be doing himself, but the program manager, if he doesn't have the background and how business and the concepts of business analysis, they might end up delivering the program but not delivering value. So when you have a business analysis knowledge and you understand how to map the benefits to the strategic objectives, it will help you deliver value to a client. And in so many occasions, Kailash, I've seen so many projects being delivered, but the client is not happy. Okay, they delivered on time within budget, which is the earned value management method, but the client wasn't happy because the earned value management doesn't assess value. The value is assessed by different means. So business analysis is very important. And one of the challenges, as I said, if a program manager doesn't have a background to do business analysis or at least some experience, they might really fail to deliver value or see the received value that's expected by the stakeholders.
Rami, also, do you think that if business analysis competencies are not there, there will be a lot of changes, which we will see more changes because, since we have not done proper elicitation and collaboration, we will not able to. There will be a lot of ambiguity in the overall scope of the solution, and there will be a lot of scope creep related things. Scope creep means where the scope will be changing without changing the budget for the program, without changing the the overall schedule for the program, without changing the overall resources commitment for the program. Do you agree that without business analysis, there will a lot more changes, uncontrolled changes, that is what we can call scope creep can be observed during the program, Rami?
100%. For a simple reason that I mentioned that when you don't deliver value, you have to reassess you assess value in an agile fashion or
Yeah,
agile
yeah,
approach. So as you move forward, you can assess if you're delivering value.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and if you're not delivering value, you have to make changes. These changes are costly, and sometimes if things escalate further, it could cause this scope creep can get uncontrolled. You are right. So I think program manager, one of the core skills he should have is business analysis skills.
Absolutely, absolutely. Also, throughout the program, when we're doing governance review in the program, whether we are doing phase gate review, whether we are doing some health check review, during these reviews, I think so. Business analysis also gets evaluated. It helps us align and realign, or at least validate the alignment. And if we are not thoroughly doing business analysis, maybe we may not able to know whether our program is still aligned to the organization goals and objective, Rami. Can that be also be encountered if there is a lack of business analysis effort during the program life cycle, Rami?
It can, but during governance life cycle, we do measure, basically focus on the benefits management plan.
Yeah, yeah,
See how we're progressing. And some of the metrics we define are related to the requirements that were defined initially, because we need to trace them back to our client expectations and our strategic and objectives and goals, right?
yeah, 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 yeah.
So the lack of proper evaluation. So business analysis is more than a elicitation of requirements. You need to have also an analytical mind, systems thinking. You need to understand the big picture as a program manager. So if you don't understand all these things that play to deliver value, you will definitely have challenges.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you rightly said, business analysis is much more than just doing requirement analysis or just doing requirement elicitation. So I think so. These are some of the great challenges what you have highlighted. And without business analysis during the program life cycle, the challenges could be uncontrolled changes, or there could be another issues. Such as alignment of program with the strategic objective, because since we are not doing solution evaluation, and by the time we do it's too late, and some of these things are really really great pointers, Rami, and thank you for sharing that. Rami, in my next segment I want to also talk about how can the program manager develop a strong business analysis capability. Since in segment 3 we already discussed that what are the challenges the program may face if there is a business analysis skills are missing, or if the business analysis is not performed in a more comprehensive manner. But I want to now ask, if as a program manager for the community who are transitioning from project role to program role, the program manager, how can they develop this strong business analysis capability, Rami?
We have first to differentiate between two things. Capability is one thing and knowledge is another thing.
Yeah, yeah,
So the program manager need to develop both.
yeah, yeah,
So first, to develop knowledge, you need to make sure you go outside of the box.
yeah,
You do profession development. Okay,
yeah,
for
yeah,
example, there is the IIBA, CBAP, and there are entry levels for it. This profession development is very beneficial. There is also the PMI PBA. For example, if you were project focused and if you were project focused and you will remain project focused, maybe the PMI PBA is more beneficial for you. But
yeah,
I do
yeah,
find, for example, the CBAP is more enterprise based. So it goes beyond the project, from the organization downward.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
one side of the story, to develop your knowledge, in depth knowledge in certain areas. And the other part that goes hand in hand with this experience, because getting a certification is just merely an indication that somebody have an in-depth knowledge, but doesn't indicate somebody is capable of doing the job, doesn't enhance your capability. You need to have actual hands-on experience in business analysis to actually be capable.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think you rightly said, is it required knowledge and plus experience. Is certification may give you some understanding of the standard way of doing things, but until you don't start applying those things, maybe as you rightly said, CBAP certification, which is more at enterprise level, and PMI PBA certification is more at the project level, even after having the certification. And Rami, we know that so many people who have so many certification, but when it comes to actual implementation, maybe there may be some team member you may also have, because I had such team member in my enterprise team in the past, Rami, where they had lot of certification, the PMP certification, the risk management certification, but there was no standardized way of risk management. And again, and this is the same thing I'm trying to correlate, that you rightly said, only just by having these certification will not make you a great program manager. As a program manager, you need to apply these learning, apply your experience, and keep implementing these frameworks, so that then he can build a better skills, and then can ensure that the program deliver its outcome that is aligned to the organization's strategic objective. So I think so that's a great point. So I will definitely recommend the aspirant who are the doing PGMP certification, or who are also a program management practitioner, that getting certified is one thing, but more important thing is how this the actual framework can be applied, Rami. So thank you for sharing that that thought. Let's continue, Rami, here. I want to also talk about, from my listener interest, what specific business analysis techniques should they focus on first. I know there are a lot of business analysis techniques. There are business analysis model, business analysis schemas. So what specific business analysis technique you should recommend to the program manager, which will help them quickly in their program management practice?
You might be surprised from my answer, but none. I will tell you why. All of them are important, but
Yeah,
every tool and technique is important in its own unique position. Every program is different. Like, they
yeah,
say every project is unique, every program and every situation is
yeah,
different. There are instances where I had to use some techniques. There are other instances where I didn't use them at all.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I highly recommend, program management manager or a business analyst who's in a program manager role do acquire as much experience and knowledge about as many techniques as possible. Because
yeah, yeah,
sometimes also, Kailash, you do have to use a mix of techniques for the same thing, not
yeah,
only
yeah,
one
yeah.
technique.
I agree with you, Rami, that he needs to have an comprehensive understanding of the business analysis models and so on. And you rightly said, in one single program, every tools and technique may not be applied the same way. In some program, some technique will play more important role, in another program another. But from the IIBA point of view, do you agree that the business analysis core competency model, and even the requirement schema, where we have the business requirement, the solution requirement, in solution requirement we again have functional requirement, non-functional requirement, we have stakeholder requirement, and we have transition requirement. So categorizing these requirement into business requirement, stakeholder requirement, solution requirement, further dividing solution requirement into functional and non-functional requirement, and finally the including the transition, because in program management, transition play very important role to building the outcome, the operational state, because program management is not just about delivering the benefit, but ensuring that the delivered benefit are sustainable beyond the program closure. So during the transition, we are building the sustainment capability, so that many a time program manager are so much hurry that okay, they have done their product delivery, service delivery, and they, without even transitioning the solution properly to the operations. And that is why many programs fail to realize benefit, because those transition requirements are not covered completely. Do you agree that, Rami, these requirement classification into these categories are the very important aspect, at least a minimum for the program manager role, Rami?
They are very important, of course, because, as I said, you do need to have a traceability matrix, and the
Yeah,
traceability matrix should be part of your benefits management plan.
yeah,
And
yeah.
these are very important, and I don't disagree with you at all. But
Mm,
let me ask you a question.
yeah, yeah,
So,
absolutely.
what if a program manager took over from another program manager that is in the middle of the program? So, in this case, he might use less the requirements classification. He might review them. So, it's still important that he have another eye on them, but he needs to make sure he traces those requirements properly. So, this goes back to my point.
Yeah.
While IIBA says requirements classification is one of the most important things, I understand. If you go from point A to point C through point B, which is methodic, that's fine. But what if you have a force majeure where a program manager had to take over from another program manager? So that's why I said every technique is useful in a certain situation. So while IIBA emphasizes certain techniques over others, I do, from my experience, recommend you have expertise and knowledge with as many techniques as you can, because you can be put in a situation where you need to deal with requirements more than just categorizing them, right?
No, see, I don't deny absolutely, Rami, that all of these techniques are important, but some of these framework actually establish the traceability also. If we have the requirement, then only we will able to do even the better traceability. I know traceability is the importance in business analysis, but at the program level, that's what we also have learned. Program management is all about how the program outcome, which will deliver the benefit, how the benefit should be aligned to the business requirement, not to the stakeholder requirement. That's the same thing we have also learned even in the BA work, that before even the stakeholder requirement, we need to first understand the business requirement. Then we gather the stakeholder elicitation and gather the stakeholder requirement and try to map which are the stakeholder requirement in the form of their needs and expectations are aligned to the business requirement. And then we break down those requirement into functional and non-functional requirement. Finally, of course, different requirements such as training, such as during the transition, we have to do a lot of training. We have to do a lot of hand holding, where we will do some pilot rollout with the operations team who going to sustain the benefit. So we need to work, and as per the BA Box guide, the operations team is nothing but the end user who is going to actually use the your product and services to realize the benefit as an ongoing basis. So gathering that requirement gathering from the transition perspective, from the end user perspective, that's very very important thing. And nothing denying, Rami, you rightly said some of these, there are a lot many skills we also have. You rightly said system thinking, one of the thing, system thinking you spoke about some and you, that's what you emphasizing continuously in this session. Don't think in a small part, but think as a holistically, where a system thinking is all about having a big picture, not just thinking individual part, but just thinking the larger program contribution to the organization success. And all of these technique may become very very important during that point of time. I want to ask you if you could share this business analysis core competency model. How does, where we have 6 core competencies such as change, such as need, such as stakeholder, solution, value, and context. How this how this business analysis core competency model will support the program manager in his program management program management journey, Rami?
All of those phases, all of those sides of the model do apply to program management. Whether it's context, you have to analyze the right context. You have to deal with the changing environment, because a program is a very is rapidly changing environment. And
Yeah,
then
yeah,
you have to make sure he delivers value to stakeholders. So collaboration is important too. The program manager wears so many hats, and this
yeah,
model, the core competency model, and all these elements
yeah,
that
yeah.
composes it are very important for program management on so many levels. Even they are important at project level.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, no, absolutely right. You rightly said, context, and you rightly correlate context is nothing but the environmental influence. And you rightly said the, environment is more rapidly changing than some time back. In now the change, whether it's environmental change, if we evaluate it from technology environment, whether it's a political environment, or even the political environment change, I mean, we are seeing how much is the political influence even in this kind of social disruption where the war is happening between Russia and Ukraine. So much of political influence from USA. I don't know how much money they have poured into the Ukraine war, into the Russia war. I don't know who is right and wrong, but you rightly said this. If you are into that environment, if such social environment, such political environment, so this context you rightly pointed out, the context play very very important role. And And because of the environmental change, there will be a new change request into the program. Because of the change, we need to reevaluate the program alignment with the organizational original goals and objectives. So context definitely play very important role. And you have also emphasized the another core competency, value. Ultimately, I think so you spoke a lot about value is where uh, you know it's not just about delivering the benefit, but delivering the long term value. Value is more like a perceived by different stakeholders. We have to ensure that how through the program, once the program is closed, one we have transitioned the benefit, how those benefits actually will be used by those end user, by those customer, how they can able to generate the value. So that value management, I think so, has been continuously emphasized, Rami. That's a very good point you made about all of these six core competency, whether change, whether whether it's a need is nothing but the business need of the program, whether it's a stakeholder engagement, a stakeholder competency, whether it's a solution development, and value and context management. And we always say that program is all about driving the change. In fact, the very reason we are having a program is we are, in fact, the program is initiated because of change only, because change is nothing but act of transformation. We have to transform our organization to address the business need, which is nothing but the organizational operational problems, organizational opportunity in the current operations to maximize the benefit for his customer. So I think so these understanding the business need and then driving that business need by changing, by a transformation and building a right solution with the collaboration of stakeholder, and ultimately delivering the value in the current environmental context play very important role, Rami. I think so this is great. Some of the point have been mentioned. Rami, I would also like to ask you in my last segment, would you like to walk us through with some practical program initiative where you have applied the program management skills and ensure that the program, how do you handle the challenges and address the conflicting priorities, and then ensure that the program delivers successfully and program able to realize the benefit for the stakeholder, Rami?
Of course. And I can give you one more most recent example. I was managing a program when the COVID hit, and this program is part of a big portfolio.
Okay.
And this was one of the most important programs, and it has almost 10 projects under it. Some operations and some other activities. So, it was very challenging because some of the team members were diverse, and, we work in construction. So construction, for the most part, you need to be on site, right?
Yeah.
So the projects were delayed because people were not able to go on site until we figured out how to work safely. Then during that time, we noticed a shift in the market sentiment and a shift in the financials, a shift in the stakeholder requirements, client requirements. And I'm not saying it's a major shift. For example, a senior community consists of independent living buildings, supportive living buildings, and residential care. We noticed there is a shift. For example, we focused more on doing independent living buildings than supportive living. We postponed our supportive living buildings a bit. Because also the supportive living building and mainly the residential care are sometimes influenced by governmental decisions, much more than independent living. So we had to assess all the situation again. We had to do business analysis. We had to analyze the new market needs, the situation, the risks. So every single skill you might name, we used during that period to make sure we end up with a successful program and project and deliver value to the stakeholders and the end users.
Yeah. And I think you rightly gave during the COVID time, I think so, it was so much of volatility, so much of, rapidly changing environment. We were uncertain about the future because it was the pandemic situation. I think so we have seen first time in our lifespan, and we didn't even knew what going to be the future for us. But in spite of it, we have to keep applying best of our business mind. We have to keep doing, and some of these I think so rightly said, your business analysis experience that helps us overcome and run the world. Because even during the COVID time, some of the things which we have never expected, that we always, before COVID, we always thought that, the world will not move if people do not collaborate and meet face to face. But during the COVID, we all were doing social distancing, and we all were rarely collaborating until, and I think so, every function, whether it's essential functions, pharma functions, technology function, every different domain, they, through their business analysis competency, they able to ensure that their business runs. And because nobody had planned even this environment from a business continuity perspective, but in spite of which, that experience of business analysis, the way you have applied into your organization, I think that's why the organization is sailing and able to realize those initiatives successfully, Rami. I think so. That's thank you for sharing this practical experience. And the last segment, Rami, before we sign off from the session, I want to ask that, with we said a lot of emerging trends are happening, like digital transformation. How do you see the role of business analysis evolving in program management? I know you continuously are saying that the world is changing fastly, but anything you see, if is in this dynamic world, in this digital transformation, where everything in the AI, ML, machine learning, artificial intelligence, so many rapid changes are happening. How do you see this business analysis will evolve further and will support in program management, Rami? Some pointers there for the community.
I see lots of emphasis now on data analytics.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
IIBA have a certification in data analytics, which is
Yeah,
very important.
CBDA, Certified
Yes.
Business Data Analytics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I see AI and data analytics really helping programs, at least identifying trends, doing predictive analytics, doing some modeling for the programs, for the projects. It depends also what industry. The degree to which we will use data analytics and AI depends heavily on the industry. But I highly recommend that the business analysts now these days do focus on this area, because this is what is going to drive future organizations. Data.
Awesome.
It's all about data.
And absolutely correct. I think so, data analytics, and you rightly quoted IIBA certification, CBDA, Certified Business Data Analytics. In these rapidly, where technology disruption is happening much faster. Of course, we have seen a lot of technology disruption during Y2K, during lot of other time. But I think so, every individual, every group, and every organization is facing the heat from this technology environmental changes. And proper data analytics will definitely help. You analyze a lot of data in your industry, in your business environment, and then take an informed decision about, because business analysis will help you in taking decision. That is what is the core point you trying to drive, Rami, if I'm not wrong. Decision making based on data will help you to take informed decision. And that is a great points for the community, that even in the rapidly changing the context, the environment, as a program manager, data analytics under your business analysis role, that will play very very important, very important success criteria. And Rami, before we wrap up, any final advice you want to give to the program management community or aspiring PGMPs, something like that, Rami?
Yes, of course. As I said earlier, Kailash, a program manager wears many hats. So you make sure that you diversify your experience. You go outside the box all the time. And most importantly, you focus on your professional development. Some people, and I always, there are two sides of for everything. So some people would tell you too many certifications will become obsolete, but you
Yeah,
and I kind of know that this is not true, because we learn from each and every certification we get.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But again, with every certification you take, you need to make sure there is an equivalent amount of experience against it. If you get certifications and you don't have experience, yes, your certifications will be obsolete, but you need to ensure that both experience and professional development goes hand in hand. And if one is missing, at some point you will feel the gap, because again, and I want to emphasize, we do live in a very rapidly evolving world. And this world that we live in is full of specializations.
Yes.
Industry specific credentials and certifications and professional development is more important these days than ever.
Yes. Absolutely. I think so, the best program manager are those who never stop analyzing, who never stop learning. And fantastic advice, Rami. Thank you so much for sharing your insight today. It's clear that, the business analysis is not just an add on, but a core competency for successful program management. Thank you, Rami, for sharing your expert advice and so much of, knowledge in this podcast session. So thank you for being my special guest today. And I think so this P3M community who are especially in the program management, they will get a lot of rich insight from this particular podcast, Rami.
Thank you so much, Kailash, for having me. It was a pleasure being here with you.
Thank you, Rami. Thank you. And finally, to my listener, thank you for tuning into the P3M with Kailash Upadhyay. If you find this episode valuable, don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave us your review. Stay tuned for more episode where we unpack the tools and techniques that drive successful program and portfolio management. And until next time, keep learning and keep leading successful program. Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Rami.